Yes, kamusta, Joy?
Parang grabe yung start ng New Year, Gabi. Parang ang dami nang nangyayari. Second week pa lang.
Totoo, parang sa feed ko, ang mga nakikita ko is Thursday pa lang, second week pa lang ng
Joy.
January.
Parang grabe.
Nakaka-relate ba kayo? If you can relate to what Joyce and I are talking about, just type it in the chat box. We'd love to know where you're calling and from what organization are you. Ayan, I can see a lot of new names. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Where I see a few familiar ones. I see Ella's here, Pauline is here, Rog is here. Good afternoon, guys.
Magical afternoon.
So we have Estrelita from Splash 4. Hi, good afternoon. Is this your first time? Yes. So, hello, good afternoon. So while you're settling in, we'd really love to know each and every one of you. So just type your name in the chat box, where you are calling from, or what organization or company you are from. And if you have friends, colleagues that you want to let in the meeting room, tell them we have a lot of space this afternoon. Or if they are having connectivity issues, we are also streaming live on YouTube. Ayan, Joyce, maybe we could read some responses in the chat box. Julie Ann from Pampanga is saying a happy afternoon.
Yeah, Wency is from DPWH Bulacan. Hi, Wency.
Wow,
May
we have
from DOH TRC Argao, and she's a first timer also. So hi.
yes. Hello, hello. Tyriel, let me know if I said that correctly. Many happened on the first half of January. Nakaka-relate kami sa'yo. And she's from the Philippine Women's University Psych Society. So, hi! You also have Richard calling in from DSWD. Marami tayong from government this afternoon.
Yes.
Rizalia is also joining us. Hi po, Ma'am Rizalia. She's also a constant in our webinars.
Larissa is from Primeline Products. And first time niyo rin. So hello, Larissa. Thank you for taking the time.
Yes, Flordeline is also from DepEd. She is a senior high school faculty. I think sobrang madami kang matitake away ngayon, and I hope you get to share it with your students because friends is really something na I wish na-discuss siya sa atin early on in school, no? Kasi parang nung nasa school tayo, puro magaling ka ba sa math, sa English, pero hindi na-tackle enough na, oh, there are other languages or there are different languages of strengths. And we hope that we are going to introduce to you a new language this afternoon.
Yes, that's right.
Ayan, so I think we have some joining us pa. I saw Christine C. Hi, Christine. And it's 3 o'clock. So we're going to start again. If you have friends and colleagues who still want to join us, we still have space in the Zoom room. So hanggang 1,000 ang kaya ng Zoom room natin. So sabihin nyo sa kanila, mag-log in lang sila, or meron din tayong YouTube live so they can also join us via YouTube. Ayan, Joyce, I think we can start.
Gabi.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to our first set of webinars this afternoon. So for the first set of January, excited na excited tayo kasi 'di ba ito yung mga panahon na we say, New Year, New Me. And we are starting by embracing our strengths whenever we feel that we are not enough. So since we have a lot of first timers, we would like to introduce to you our company. We are Positive Workplaces, and our mission is that we co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. So we believe na it really starts with us, diba? This co-creation starts with leading the self. So we're really happy that you're here with us this afternoon so that 'di ba, unang-una maa-apply nyo sa sarili nyo yung mga matututunan nyo dito because once you are able to know these things and apply them in your life, you will be able to share it with others, yung mga nasa immediate influence nyo, and later on, you will use these to eventually lead cultures and create what we call positive workplaces. So I just showed you kung ano yung sinusundan naming framework ever since the start of positive workplaces. And ito yung tinatawag naming mga positivity ripples. So we're glad to have you here this afternoon, and we're going to introduce ourselves briefly. I'm Gabby, and I'm the Learning and Development Officer of Positive Workplaces. And with me this afternoon is my partner in the PW Free webinars, Joyce. Go ahead, Joyce.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Joyce. I'm the Learning and Development Associate of Positive Workplaces.
Yes, so kami ni Joyce ang usual makikita at makakasama nyo every month dito sa ating free webinar series. And this January, sinabi nga namin na our theme is really Owning Me, Owning 2023. Joyce, naniniwala ka ba na ang pinaka-importanting tool na magagamit natin sa buhay ay yung sarili natin?
Yes, tama yan, Gabby.
Yes, kaya importante na mag-invest tayo sa kanya para we will be able to alam mo yun, gain control of what we do and what outcomes we want for the year. And this year, super star-studded tayo because we have John, Nikki, Roj, and even Alma who will guide us through the different topics we have this January. So we hope that you take note of the following dates and the topics, and we hope to see you in all three.
Yan. And some reminders lang po, no, para smooth yung flow ng webinar natin this afternoon. Have another device or be ready to go to another link kasi we'll be using Menti later. Prepare paper and pen for your notes kasi for sure marami po kayo matututunan today. And of course, we highly encourage engagement with the audience, but please be respectful in the chat. Ayan. And then when it comes to eval forms naman po, evaluation form will be issued at the end of the webinar for those in the Zoom room only. And also remember 10, title. Check nyo po yung title later pag pinakita na namin yung eval forms. Yung email nyo po, pakilagay po yung correct email nyo para hindi po naliligaw yung mga certificates natin. And of course, write your full name na gusto nyo pong lumabas sa certificate. Yan. And also, we're shifting to online systems. So certificates are automatically generated. That's why nire-remind po namin kayo na sana po yung real name nyo po yung ilalagay para hindi na po siya ipapapalitan kasi hindi po siya papalitan. Ayan din. And for certificates, check your inbox first kung nandoon. If wala, baka nasa spam folder po siya. So you can also check your spam folder. And for any concerns about evaluations or certificates, you may email us at engage@positiveworkplaces.org, and we will only be entertaining inquiries regarding evals and certificates up to 1 week after the event. So hanggang 1 week lang po siya. After po noon, hindi na po natin makukuha yung certificates for this webinar.
Yes, thank you so much, Joyce, for those reminders. And I hope you guys keep that in mind. And at this point, we'd like for you to grab a pen and paper, make sure that you're comfortable, and alam mo yun, come here as an empty cup. Yun yung sinasabi nila because we are really going to learn a lot about this afternoon session. So I'm really proud to present to you our speaker this afternoon. She is our Chief Wellbeing Officer and also our mentor, Nikki Vergara. Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Gabby. Hey, Joyce. And hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with all of you here today. I want to share my screen. And I also want to ask you sa chat box if you can let me know how many positive workplaces webinars have you attended already? If you remember, or if you can gauge, or if there's so much, like sabi ni Charlene, she's been here for a long time. Hindi ko na keep track. Let me know how many have you attended, because I regularly talk about strengths and we share it in the light of different things, different applications. So I'd love to know how many na. Yeah, sabi ni Christine, super dami na. That's so true. Hindi na ako rin, Christine, hindi ko na mabibilang how many you've attended. Others, si Jacqueline, since last year. Welcome to the people who are joining for the first time. Like si Jessie, this is her first time joining. Si Wency, third time na, so nabibilang niya pa rin. Hopefully, Wency, we get to a point na hindi mo na mabibilang ilan yung na-attend mo. Serial is here for the first time, but probably attending more in the future. Cyril then, first time, some 2 times, some 7th. I love it. PW is a part of your life and you are a part of our life as well. I love that you already said that, Rizalia. So thanks everyone for giving me a call. Yes, Pauline, sobrang dami na talaga and more to come, Taryn. So for all of those joining us for the first time, I get so excited because this is one of my favorite topics. And the reason that we bring it back is because it's such a foundation in creating a positive culture in your workplace. And even for me na ang dami ko ng learning sessions, attending this in many places. So for instance, I've attended this while I was studying at the University of Melbourne. I've attended this while I was asking my coaching friends about it. So I super love strengths. And I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm also an accredited strengths profile practitioner. And I'm sharing that skill with all of you for free. So let's jump into the why. Why is it important to feel enough? I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you told yourself that you were not enough? When was the last time you doubted na, oh, I don't think I can do this because I don't think I'm enough? Or, shucks, naawa naman ako sa team ko na kasi ako yung naging teammate nila, kawawa naman sila because I'm not enough. When was the last time you told yourself something like that? So sabi ni Wency, yesterday. And Joyce pasted the link as well on the chat box. Wednesday, you're not alone because Joyce and I were actually the ones co-designing today's webinar. And then ito yung check-in namin. Sabi namin, Joyce, ito yung check-in. When was the last time that you felt na you were not enough? And we both answered yesterday. Yesterday from that day. So know that you're not alone. And just because you think that way doesn't mean that you'll be condemned to thinking that way about yourself. There are so many remedies that we are going to teach you today para you don't feel that way. So let's look at what people are saying here. 3 people said it today. So I'm so glad. Today is the perfect day meant to be that you're joining this webinar. One person here said yesterday. A lot of people in the chat box then said kagabi, like Jelly, Wency yesterday. See Maria always. So we hear you, like you're not alone. 8 people said this week, 8 people then said last month, but Miles then said last year. That's why I requested to transfer. Some people are saying every day, some people are saying yesterday. So it's such a common experience for a lot of us to say na, I don't think I'm enough. You're doubting yourself. You're not getting the opportunities that you want because of all of these things. And you're not alone. You see here na a lot of us even those who have studied it quite well can still say these things about themselves. And many of us here in this room na consistent attendees o kaya very active about how they can improve their lives can still feel this way sometimes. So I want to ask you, and I love that we're using Mentimeter kasi anonymous siya. So if you're willing to type it in the chat box, please feel free to do so. This is a safe space. But for those who want to be anonymous, Mentimeter will keep you anonymous. What triggered you to say that to yourself? It's the new year, so like being very candid with all of you, we're creating our strategies in positive workplaces, and we always aim to create a bigger community, reach more people. So we created our parang we were talking about our strategies this year, and that was what triggered me to say na, oh gosh, I don't think I'm enough. Kasi our targets this year are so big, and although I am a hopeful person, pag sobrang laki ng targets and sobrang ambitious namin, I sometimes get moments of self-doubt that make me think, oh no, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I'm enough. I don't know if I am the appropriate leader for all of these targets. So for some of you, yung nag-trigger naman sa inyo, past experiences, maybe someone criticized you before, maybe someone also criticized your personality, or maybe there is a feature of your personality that is very self-critical. For some of you, it's overthinking, merong unfinished business, at saka low self-esteem. I resonate with this person who said there's so much pressure, and when you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know if you can overcome that. Many people are talking about their challenges, feeling not motivated, that they don't trust their own capabilities. Maraming may negative self-talk. That is something we're going to teach you to replace with a different habit today. Yes, and rejections. And you know what? You're not the only one who has faced rejections. I hope you don't feel alone in that feeling. We all feel failures and disappointments, and that are really moments that make us want to tell ourselves na, oh, I don't think I'm enough. I'm comparing. I resonate with this too. You're comparing yourself to your peers, to your family, to your siblings. Maybe you see their Facebook posts, maybe nababalitaan mo how far they are getting in life. There were betrayals, there were feelings of neglect, there were 3 a.m. thoughts, very specific when that's happening, when other people give you feedback, when comparisons come from other people, especially people you really value, like your parents. So I hear you. These are things that many of us experience. Some of these triggers are more painful than others. Depends on who the person is, but these things really can hurt us and can lead us to say na, I don't think I'm enough. I think I'm inadequate. And so I want to ask you then, before I give you some of my tips, how did you cope with this thought? Did you push it away? Did you what was a consistent habit for me growing up was like sweets. Whenever I feel negative emotions, kakain talaga ako ng sweets. So actually, may mga wrappers dito. May mga wrappers dito ng chocolate right now. But there's better ways of coping than that. So yes, I love it. Someone said, just accept it and embrace the feeling. You can shun the thoughts away. I love that someone here is working out. Goal din yan natin ng team namin yan. And it really does help. Some are praying. Some will ignore it. Some will listen to, distract yourself with music, with online shopping. Some people like me are stress eating. O kaya naman, some people naman are doing more like positive thinking. Some people have very specific distractions and specific food that they are sharing here. Some people are, putting themselves in a positive place by like listening to motivation quotes. Listening to the affirmations of others. So I love hearing how you are coping with that feeling. Thank you for sharing that with me. Some people here said positive self-talk. And we are sharing a very specific kind of how you can have that positive talk today. So let's talk about why it's important to not tell yourself na I'm not enough. In fact, someone told me 10 years ago, Nikki, I never want to hear you saying that to yourself again. And that really struck me na I make it a habit now to never say that to myself. Sometimes I feel it, but I will not say, Nikki, you're not enough, because it has very detrimental consequences. When you feel inadequate, in the workplace, most of the time it's actually women who feel it more than men. So I want to empower especially the women here. A lot of women feel this, and 75% of professional women feel this. But the feeling does not necessarily equate to incompetence. There's so much research going around that it's a feeling. It's a feeling that you perpetuate in your head. And when you feel that way, you don't go for the opportunities. When you don't go for the opportunities, all the more you'll feel that way. So it really starts a cycle. And also, there's an increase of people saying that they feel inadequate at work. I find this research very interesting because sometimes I do surveys with companies, and then I will triangulate, or I will double check the results of that survey with a manager. And I remember speaking to a manager and asking him, oh, you know what, your team is feeling that they are more inadequate now. Would you agree? And then the manager said, I don't agree. In fact, they're performing much better now. So how you feel about yourself does not necessarily match the assessment of others of you, but it has so many negative consequences. Here are the implications of low self-esteem. It can have a role in the development of many mental health conditions, such as depression, anxiety. So if we want to have, good mental health, we want to work on our feelings of inadequacy. We don't want to feel that way. Sometimes, if you have that low self-esteem, it makes you more sensitive to criticism and rejection. Minsan, if you are so sensitive to criticism and rejection, you avoid feedback altogether. And feedback is what helps you grow. Or sometimes, if you're so sensitive to rejection and criticism, you don't go for the opportunity at all because you don't want to be rejected at all. So I actually want to give kudos to the person here who said na yung trigger nila ay rejection. I want to really validate you and say na I'm happy for you because you went for it. You went for something big. And even if rejection yung naging result, there was still that taking a chance. So sometimes if you have such a low self-esteem, you eliminate that risk altogether. It also can lead to unproductive work behaviors. Like for instance, sino dito yung minsan matutulog na lang, I will not, or I'll just watch Netflix. Especially me when I was younger, it's moments of high stress na kaya ko talagang mag-binge ng isang buong series because I'm avoiding facing it and and having my self-esteem battered and facing the criticism. So Van said here na, yeah, sometimes you feel imposter syndrome. People think more highly of you than you do of yourself. Sabi ni Kevin, I saw something in LinkedIn earlier. Sabi doon, please do not self-reject. I love this advice. Do not self-reject yourself from opportunities. Let other people reject you, but you will not be the first one to reject yourself. Let them be the one to reject me. I won't let the fear of trying and my self-limiting thoughts prevent me from taking my chance. I love that, Kevin. Cyril also said, thanks for sharing. So ito naman yung benefits of working on your self-esteem. If you have high self-esteem, an increase in self-esteem can lead to a significant decrease in job insecurity. Now, you're not feeling so insecure in your job. If you have a high self-esteem, it also helps you in finding satisfaction at work. Sometimes our work conditions are actually good, but it's us beating ourselves in our head that makes the work unbearable. Also, lower self-esteem will keep you in the comfort zone because you don't go after opportunities. Lower self-esteem also hinders people from reaching their full potential. I know so many people who have such an exciting parang trajectory ahead of them, but sometimes it's low self-esteem that keeps them from achieving those, like really taking small steps towards those dreams. So people with higher self-esteem are to take them as challenges in job uncertainties. If you have high self-esteem, every time there's a challenge, you won't go, ay, di ko yata kaya yan. Instead, you will think, oh, this is a challenge that I am willing to take. This is a challenge that will excite me, or this is a challenge that will help me grow. And people with higher self-esteem can be the ones to maximize their potential. So I want to ask you a question. Which do you tend to focus on? Is it your strengths or your weaknesses? Like top of mind, give me a pulse. Do you tend to focus on your strengths or do you tend to focus on your weaknesses? For me talaga, before I got into this strengths mindset or this strengths-based approach in 2015, I beat myself up my whole life. I tend to focus on the lowest aspects of myself or the things that I didn't like about myself. So I want to ask you, which do you tend to focus on more? 14 people said, 15 people say their strengths and 19 people say their weaknesses. So medyo half, no, like 50%, like 47% in the room say, okay, I focus on my strengths. No wonder you're attending our Positive Workplaces webinar because that's the kind of community we have, people who focus on their strengths. Or like maybe you're focusing on your weaknesses and that's why you want to learn how to have a different mindset. Parang almost half and half tayo. Yeah, we're now 50%. Half strengths, half weaknesses. Thanks for sharing this with me. So, let me know if you resonate with this. Let me know sa chat box. Ganito ba kayo? You look at who you are and then yung mga weaknesses mo, you're like, oh gosh, like sometimes you fixate on it. Sometimes that's you would say to yourself, okay na sana, kaso hindi ako magaling dito eh. So half of us tend to focus on our weaknesses. Something we forget is when you focus so much on your weakness, and that leads you to think, oh shucks, meron akong kulang. Meron akong kulang, hindi ko to kaya, I'm not enough. Like focusing on the lowest aspects of who you are will lead you to think, I'm not enough. But if you have a strengths-based mindset, you do realize you're not meant to be everything to everyone. You're not meant to have all of the skill sets, all of the strengths. It's normal to have some strengths that you're better at and some skill sets that you're not that great at because no man is an island and we're actually here working with teams, being members of a society because we actually can complement each other. Everybody has those gaps within themselves. Everybody has areas within themselves na parang not the best, not exactly what you want to showcase to the world, but we also have areas within ourselves that can complement with others. So the beauty of being in a society, being part of a society, being part of a group, being part of a team is you don't have to fill in all of the gaps. In fact, those strengths or that part of ourselves where we feel like, oh, there's something missing here is an opportunity for collaboration. It's an opportunity for compassion. It's an opportunity for us to work together rather than just rely on ourselves. Because when we work together, we can create a picture that we could not have done on our own. When we work together, we are able to leverage all of those strengths to achieve something bigger. And the sum of the whole is gonna always be greater. The whole is always going to be greater than the sum of its parts. So, what are strengths? I always talk about strengths in this community. That's why I asked you, pang ilang session mo na ba to? But hopefully, the people who have heard this before will find the message reinforcing, and those who are here for the first time will still get to grasp the concept. So, in the chat box, can you type all the letters of the alphabet from A to Z? I'll time you. Go. Let's see who's going to be the first one to type all the letters of the alphabet from A to Z. Ayan, Charlene, naka-direct message. She was the first one ng 3:26. So that's like 10 seconds. And everyone now is like flooding the chat box with all the letters from A to Z. See, that's so fast. You're all keyboard warriors. Sino ba namang hindi masasanay sa keyboard after, living your whole life with tech o kaya naman those 2 years in the pandemic na lagi tayong nagki-keyboard. But the fastest one was 10 seconds. And a lot of people are still typing it in, so I could really see, you are all so fast. So I have another challenge for you. Delete na and don't look at any kodigo. Walang kodigo, just memory. Type the letters of the alphabet backwards from Z to A. Pabilisan. And I want you to recall it from memory. Don't look at any notes. Don't look at the chat box. Just recall it from memory. Z, Y, W. Is that what's next? Type the letters of the alphabet backwards from Z to A. Sabi ni Richard, pass. Nahirapan na si Richard. Di niya na in-attempt. Oh my God, I missed X. Tama ka, Jessa. It's ZYX. Okay, Kyrene did it first. And Kyrene did it in 35 seconds. Ang galing, Kyrene. What's the secret to you being able to do that? That's quite a rare skill. Until now, hindi ko pa rin siya magawa, even if sometimes I rehearse it. But people are now putting it in the chat box. So, notice din the time difference. Kanina, ang daming nagtatype, tapos 10 seconds yung pinakamabilis. Ngayon, 35 seconds tayo, yung pinakamabilis, and people are giving up. They are stopping after 5 letters. Some are saying pass. It's hard. So I want to ask you, which one was easier? Typing it forward or typing it backwards? Yeah, Isabel, Jessie, Juna said forward. Typing it forward is easier because that's our predisposition. We were taught to sing the alphabet forward. When we write it, we were taught to write it forward. Very unusual yung medyo deliberate for some people yung skill na I really want to learn how to sing it backwards, or I really want to learn how to write it backwards. But for many of us, it's easier, it's fun, it's faster when we type the alphabet forward. And this is an analogy to using your strengths. Everybody has strengths. When we use our strengths, the task is easier. It's more enjoyable. We're engaged. But when you do not use your strengths, it's like typing the alphabet backwards. You want to give up on it. It's too challenging. It takes up so much mental space. Nakakapagod, nakaka-de-energize siya. So the good news again is we all have strengths. If you use your strengths, your activities will feel like typing the alphabet forwards, will be similar to that. But if you do not use your strengths, the activity will feel like typing the alphabet backwards. Another analogy for strengths is, it's like a highway. Para siyang NLEX, TPLEX. With TPLEX, we can get from Manila to Baguio in about 3.5 hours kapag wala masyadong traffic. But before then, nung hindi pa masyadong maganda yung roads, or if you pass a small tiny road, it's gonna take you forever, and the journey is gonna be so bumpy, unpleasant, and uncomfortable. So that's also another way of looking at your strengths. If you want a smooth, fast ride, make sure you are using your strengths and applying it in your life, in your work, in the things that you do. But if you do not use your strengths, if you do not know your strengths, you can expect you're going to have a bumpy ride. So everybody has strengths. They are strong neural connections. And this is where your advantages are. This was how I used to think about myself. I had a very low self-esteem before, and I always looked at the parts of myself. I always nitpick yung parts of myself na ayaw ko about myself. So for instance, you know what? I hated it before na parang I lose track of time. Sometimes people ask me, Nikki, what did you do? You were in your room for an hour, and sinasabi ko, shucks, wala akong ginawa. I was only staring at the wall. And I just felt like being such a daydreamer was such a waste of time. Or this one, people tell me, Nikki, you're so kind. Don't you know, like people are stepping all over you. Can you please be mean for once? So even that one, I saw my kindness as a weakness at that time. So if you're always focusing on the lowest aspects of who you are, if you're focusing on your weaknesses, if that's all you see in yourself, that will lead you to say, oh, I don't think I'm enough. And sometimes we keep working on our weaknesses para lang matapat natin siya sa ating strengths, di ba? Gusto ko hindi siya weakness. Gusto ko kasing parang I'll put all my effort in there para lang matapat ko siya to the things that I do well. But that's gonna be a very exhausting journey. Because another option is you focus on the best aspects of who you are. So here are some of my strengths actually. Like for instance, I learned when I took the test, we'll share a link to that to you later. When I learned about my strengths profile, I learned na, one of my top strengths is incubator. That means I love to think deeply about things. That is why even if I don't have a phone, kahit wala akong kausap, I'm so entertained by my mind. I have that incubator. So if you ever want to take that strengths profile, some of you have taken it prior to coming to the webinar, but Joyce also dropped the link in the chat box. Okay, naman I learned na, okay, the reason why I keep giving people a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance is because unconditionality comes very easily to me. And that's actually a strength. Like, if you want to have good relationships with people, we will eventually, disappoint each other or fall short from each other's expectations. But I learned na unconditionality is not a bad thing. It's what allows me to become a loving friend. It's what allows me to build good relationships with people because I can see past their mistakes. So, if you have strengths, alam mo, instead of focusing on your weaknesses, yung strengths nyo or the highest points of who you are, hatakin nyo na lang. Because if you focus on your strengths, it can even overshadow your weaknesses. When you use your strengths, you'll enjoy, you'll excel, you'll be more energized, and it becomes easier for you to do tasks. Here are some clues to your strengths. It's what you enjoy doing, what you do well, and what interests, excites, and here's a key word, energizes you. This is very key in the strengths profile. We only consider, using this framework, we only consider your strength, those activities that energize you. So if you want to get a clue about what those strengths could be, this is something that you could do. You could just graph lahat ng mga ginagawa mo in a day. Do you classify it as depleting or energizing? So for instance, when I have meetings with my colleagues, I am energized. So I can put their meetings. But then when I have to do administrative tasks, I get very depleted. So you can do this graph for yourself. This gives you a clue about what your strengths are. I highly encourage you to just do an audit of your day. You can do this on a bond paper that you just fold and graph your energy level through the day or through the years, considering the different activities that you do. But a more systematic way of doing this, kasi minsan we forget certain activities, a more systematic way is to actually take the strengths profile. So again, Joyce has dropped the link in the chat box. I actually did a count before coming into this webinar. So there's 199 of us in the room. Grabe, ang dami natin. There's almost 200 of us here. And I counted earlier, there were 13 people who started taking their strengths profile. So the one that I'm linking to you here is free. There is a version that is paid that you might want to unlock in the future if you get really into this. But if you want to just try it out, there's no payment to this. You can take this test and you will be able to see your starter profile. And when you're just beginning in your strengths journey, and I'm like trying to convince people to learn about their strengths, it really helps na there's a free version. So I'm really grateful na Strengths Profile has that free version. So it will help you discover what are your realized strengths, what are your unrealized strengths, what are your learned behaviors, and what are your weaknesses. I'm gonna unpack these four. So itong dark green, that is what we consider as strengths in the Strengths Profile. There are three qualities to it. You perform it well, you find it energizing, and you use it a lot. So those are your strengths. Dito sa light green, itong unrealized strengths, you perform it well and it's energizing, but the key difference here is lower use, meaning hindi mo siya ginagamit. Kaya siya unrealized kasi potential energy lang siya. Hindi mo siya ginagamit kaya unrealized pa siya. And we go down, the weaknesses, those are the things that you perform poorly and it's de-energizing and you don't use it as much. So, you don't like it na nga, you don't do well in it pa. We moved here to the left and these are the learned behaviors in this quadrant. You perform it well, but it's de-energizing. Does that ever happen to any of you here? Baka you can let me know in the chat box. Did any of you make a career out of the things that you perform well, but you find very, very de-energizing? Kasi minsan you will be known for it if you do it well. And then people will keep giving you that task and giving you that task, not knowing that it's very de-energizing pala for you to use. So sometimes some people have created a career out of their learned behaviors. And in that instance, I wouldn't wonder na, oh, maybe that's why you get tired at work sometimes because you focus more on this quadrant, your learned behaviors. So Hazel said, yes, she's one of them. Sabi ni Jan, ni Mary Rose, yes po, in fact, it happens as of now. Mary Rose, I'm so glad you're here para you can learn our tips so that you can move from this orange box to this green box. Jana said, how about those skills po you're not capable of, but it interests you? Is that a strength or a weakness? Oh, that's a really good question, Jana. That really shows me na parang, oh, you're really thinking about the content that we're sharing. So, the skills here in the strengths profile, the activities listed here are quite generic. So for instance, focus to detail or listening or building rapport, deepening relationships with people. It's quite general. And then you apply it to technical specializations. So this test won't ask you, are you good at Microsoft Word? It's not going to ask you those very specific or highly technical skill sets. It's going to be asking you generic activities that you have probably performed in your life. So maybe there are technical skill sets, let's say copywriting. This test won't ask you na copywriting is my strength. It won't reveal that to you. Maybe there are skill sets like copywriting. Maybe you don't know how to do copywriting as of now, but maybe you have strengths that help you. Like you're a good narrator. Malalaman mo dito if you're a good narrator, you're a good explainer. If you have those skill sets, or even like you're empathic, so alam mo kung anong gustong marinig ng mga tao, you can apply those skill sets to whatever technical skill you want to develop. It helps to know your strengths para you know ano yung mga technical skills that you probably will really be good at, even if you don't know how to do the technical stuff yet, but because you have the strengths, maybe this will help you realize na, okay, it's not so, hindi pala malayo yung skill set na yun sa akin because I have my strengths that I can use to earn that badge. Yeah, so parang siyang skills within skills. So these are the more everyday kind of skills that everyone can assess themselves on. So I want to ask you, what are your strengths in this room? Can you share with me? What are your strengths? You don't necessarily need to take the strengths profile to be able to figure out what some of your strengths are. Maybe just from our conversation earlier na, oh, I'm really good at this, or I find this very energizing, or in my day, my favorite part is talking to people and telling them to buy my product. If you have a clue about what you enjoy doing, that speaks about what your strengths are. Again, I love it. So someone said being organized is your strength. Another person said telling stories. Ooh, I like it. Another person said, I'm a learner. My strength is to be a sponge that absorbs everything and developing it. I love that quality. Parang that sense of curiosity allows you to develop multiple skills. Talking is a strength. Maybe you should be the one here training everybody else, supporting others. Oh my gosh, this is a skill set that I really would love to have. Yung being able to come up with structure or being analytical. I love this. You know what? This is a very Pinoy quality, but really, this is a strength that can get you far in your career, far in your relationships, making people laugh. Filipinos value this very much. Your determination. Maybe you've overcome so many obstacles, and even when there are challenges thrown your way, it doesn't deter you from trying. Someone took another strengths test and it says they have a strength towards justice, making people feel equal in the room. You know, there are actually multiple strengths tests, and they, in a way, they complement each other. So yung justice strength mo doon, in this strengths profile, it's the word for it is equality. Parang you really want people to feel equal. Marites daw is a strength. I hope it's like a positive story. Maybe it's like a storytelling strength, or maybe a curiosity strength that you're applying in your Marites in a Marites way, but hopefully as a positive Marites. Being empathic, being helpful, being a good planner, decision-making, problem-solving, encouragement, patience, avoiding conflict, being creative, making other people see what they're good at, you know, having no dull moments when you're there. That's a really intense interpersonal skill. Now, my gosh, I really admire the people who can constantly entertain everybody in the room. So thank you so much for sharing all of these strengths with us. Ang napapansin nyo dito, sobrang daming strengths in this room. It's like there's a buffet of strengths in this room. So let's say, me, I'm not so organized, but I can actually get help from the people who are. Maybe I can get someone else here to set the structure and I'll be the one to follow the structure. Maybe I'm more focused on the subjective analysis of the situation o kaya focusing on people's feelings. But someone here is more analytical that will allow us to create decisions that are objective but also human-centered. So all of these strengths in this room make it feel like, oh, this is like a buffet of so many, we're good at so many things. And when you see this, you realize, oh, you don't have to be everything because there's so many people here with different skill sets that you can complement each other on. Sabi ni Reynaldo, agree, nagiging strength natin pag ano yan? Oh my God, may chika. Mayroong chika dito sa chat box. May mga hugot dito. Yeah, turning the negatives into positives. That's also a strength. So, how can we build a strengths mindset? This is how we counter that thinking na I'm not enough. So, I will be the one to tell you, I never, ever, ever want you to say that to yourself. I never want to hear you saying that about yourself. Starting today, no more saying I'm not enough. It's okay to feel uncertain. It's okay to feel like you're not confident. It's okay to feel like you need help, but don't anymore tell yourself that sentence. Okay, starting now, no more telling yourself that I'm not enough. Instead, put a strengths mindset there. So earlier I said na realized strengths are those that we perform well, it's energizing, and we use it a lot. So I actually have a guest. Joyce is here to guest with me kasi we have a strengths mindset in positive workplaces. We have that culture. So here are some of my strengths, for instance, like unconditionality, I already mentioned. I'm also a really good listener. I love listening to people. I'm also very grateful to everything that I receive. But how about you, Joyce? What is a strength that you love the most about yourself? Or what's a strength you want to share to everyone here?
Oh, for this one, siguro, yung pagiging listener, Nikki, kasi I really love listening to other people, like, kahit chika yan or like serious matters, I really love listening to other people. So, ayan, if you need someone to listen to, you can count on me.
Yeah, and I've gotten to know some of Joyce's friends o kaya naman some people in her life, and they really love that about her na parang she's just there to listen anytime, and I love that about Joyce as well. So in positive workplaces, how we create that strengths mindset is from the very start pa lang. Actually, hindi ka pa nga na-onboard sa company. You're still considering the job. We will already, share this workbook with you. So everyone who comes onto positive workplaces, we help them get to know their strengths. So this is actually what our workbook looks like. Where did I put it? Ta-da! Okay. This is actually what our workbook looks like. Na we will ask people kaagad, like, what are your strengths? We ask them to take the test and tell us what are their strengths. We ask them to tell us, okay, what are some activities or moments in your life that have uplifted you? We ask them to tell us about a time when they were at their best. What were you doing? What were you feeling? So from the very start pa lang, we tell people to focus on their strengths. We tell people to gain awareness about their strengths. And that's something that you can do as well. I find na sobrang powerful yung knowledge about strengths if you do it with a team. Sometimes, me in 2015, I was doing this on my own. I was taking tests on my own. I was reading books on my own. But when I went to Australia in 2019, and I was surrounded by a group of people who all knew what their strengths were, who knew what each other's strengths was, I realized it's on another level if you create a culture of that strengths mindset. And this is how you could start. From the very beginning pa lang, try to ask people about their strengths, create a system around it. Our system is this onboarding workbook. If you have never had a strengths test, if you've never had a strengths workshop before, you can even start as early as now, as simple as now. Simple questions like, okay, what are your strengths? When were you at your best? Start asking each other those questions if you haven't already. Something we also do is we keep tabs of each other's strengths. So we list all of our names, all of the possible strengths, tapos binibilang namin. Kasi sometimes we need a particular, we need to draw out a particular strength when we are facing a challenge, and we know which people we can tap. So you can tap those people. So here is where we want our strengths to be. We want it to hit the golden mean. Meaning, we don't want to underplay the strength, but we also do not want to overplay it. Kailangan yung use of the strengths is optimal to the situation. I will give you an example. Incubator is one of my strengths. It means I love to think deeply about things, but if I overplay it, it means I will keep thinking and I will not do the action. And that's not good either. So you have to balance your strengths and put it at the optimal level, the golden mean. So how about you, Joyce? I'm curious. Is there any strength that you feel like you overuse?
I think you listener pa rin, Nikki. Like, if ever na parang I tend to listen to someone, parang sometimes nawawala na yung boundaries na, okay, sige, I'll listen to this person. Pero hanggang sa nagkwento na siya, hindi ko na natatapos yung mga kailangan kong gawin. So, ayun, parang I think that's one instance that I use it so often.
Yes, kung kilala niyo si Joyce, mapupuyat siya ng kakakinig sa'yo because she will not stop you. She will just listen to you all night long. So I know that because sometimes I talk to Joyce. Like there were times that I just kept talking to her, hindi siya nakatulog. So those are instances din na you have to make sure na you have your own boundaries, you operate on the golden mean with your strengths. Don't overuse it. Let's go to the next part. Okay. So here are some good things to check in with yourself and with the team. So maybe some of you here are coming into this webinar na sila lang, yung wala silang ibang kakilala dito sa entire space na to. But maybe some of you are coming in and you have colleagues here. May hinatak na kayong mga friends. Meron na kayong regular goers dito. Your entire team is attending this. You can use the check-in in whatever way works for you. This is a question you can ask yourself, or this is a question that you can ask each other in a team. So for instance, we start our meetings with check-ins. And sometimes our check-ins are strengths-based. So you can ask questions like, what good outcome came from using a strength last week? So for instance, here are some of my strengths again. And every once in a while, I just take a moment to think about, okay, what were my strengths? And what good outcomes did I get from using this last week? So for instance, optimism. Diba, I told you na natakot ako sa targets namin. But I use that strength na, because if I get so scared, then I'll just quit or I'll just run away or I'll just tell everyone, scrap the targets, hindi natin yan kaya. But I go back to my strengths and I know optimism is one of my strengths. So I just thought about like, okay, imagine things going well. Have hope for the future. Have hope that even if you don't have the skill set yet, you will get that skill set to reach your targets. So because I used my optimism, I didn't quit. I didn't quit. I didn't tell anyone to scrap the targets, even if it makes me afraid sometimes. So using my optimism really helps me um, to stick with my goals, stick with my big vision. Or you can even ask yourself, just like the question that Joyce and I asked ourselves, what strength did we overuse? Sometimes people don't appreciate their strengths kasi masyado nilang overuse yung strength, kaya they don't see the good aspect of it. So another box or the other quadrant is unrealized strengths. Similar to strengths, you're good at it and it's energizing. But the thing is, you don't use it as much. So maybe you can ask each other, how can I use my unrealized strengths more? So maybe Joyce, I can ask you this question as well. How can you use an unrealized strength more? Maybe choose one of your unrealized strengths and think, how can you use it more?
Ooh, for me, siguro yung legacy, Nikki. Kasi legacy is like, parang you want to make a positive impact to the world. You want to like make a difference sa world, and you want to leave a very good impact sa next generation. And sometimes I don't use it because parang hindi lang siya natatouch nung personality ko, gano'n, ng mga ginagawa ko. But then, again, it's energizing for me. So, I think I can use it more kapag I pair it with some other strengths that I have or some learned behaviors that I have.
Yeah, very true, Joyce. So, like, I know Joyce to be very humble, and that's why she won't be like, I'm gonna change the world. But I know she wants to leave a good impact to everyone. So you can even have a conversation like that with your colleagues, with your peers, or even with your mentors. Because for me, for instance, as Joyce's supervisor, and I see these unrealized strength, it really makes me think na, oh, Joyce pala has all of these strengths. Why don't I assign her more opportunities to actualize these things? So me knowing that, oh, Joyce really wants to make a huge impact to many people, then parang I will know what opportunities to give her. For instance, one of the opportunities that we've been working on more is supporting women in the workplace, because equality is very important to Joyce. So every time I have a project na, oh, women? Oh, I'll bring in Joyce, or like Joyce will work on me with this one, because I want these strengths to move from unrealized to realized. And the only key is having her use those strengths more. And then we go to the bottom part of the box, which is sometimes a conversation that we like to avoid. It's this orange and the reds that cause us to think, oh, I'm not enough. So let's take a look at these ones. We're sharing mine. I shared mine. This is also Joyce's. We'll go deeper into these things. Itong learned behaviors. The thing with this is you perform it well, but it's de-energizing. We all have tasks na, okay, kung kailangan ko talagang gawin, kaya ko naman, sisikapin ko, and I can still do well in it. But after I do it, I'm just so exhausted. Joyce, do you want to share what's a learned behavior that you would like to share with us here?
Oh, for me, it's pride. Like, pride is something na parang you really want to get it right for the first time. You set high standards for yourself, and you learn to take pride in what you do. And I'm not something like that na parang I do set high standards for myself, but I'm not proud of what I'm doing. So sometimes kasi it's really de-energizing for me kasi it makes me like so tired na parang, do I have to talk about this? Parang I can do this, do it naman na parang walang ganon. Pero yeah, sometimes it's really de-energizing.
Yes. And so, for example, Joyce is brilliant. She's even like cum laude. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that, Joyce. Like, she's cum laude from UP Manila. And she doesn't say those things to people. Like, she hides those things. So, because it's a learned behavior, like Joyce, you find it very de-energizing pag ano, just like now that I'm like saying Joyce is so great, she's like, oh my god, I'm getting tired. But that's because pride is part of her learned behaviors. She can perform it well. She can really do amazing tasks. And anytime I ask Joyce, join me in this webinar. And like talk, share your experiences, share what you know. She'll do it, pero parang like that will make her a bit more tired later on. So you can actually pair with other people on this. So see Joyce, for instance, she's not a fan of, flaunting her talents to the world, but I am a fan. I am a fan of building her up to other people. I want people to see that she's really great and amazing. So I will not hesitate to, really hype her up to other people or talk about the amazing work that she does. I also have moments of like learned behaviors. Like, for instance, detail is a learned behavior. And I remember the first time we did this webinar, it was with John. And so John and I were comparing our strengths. And for me, detail is a learned behavior. I don't like to go nitty gritty with details, with my comments, but I know people need it. So sometimes when I feel really drained by it already, I just go, okay, John can. Actually, I don't even have to tell John because he's so detailed when he gives his feedback. Those are his top two realized strengths: feedback and detail. If you show something to John, he will have 100 things to say about it. So I've kind of, especially on days na pagod na talaga ako, I don't have to overuse itong detail because I know John is there to give very detailed feedback to everyone. I will just say what he missed or something that's my opinion and that's not his opinion. But John can really give detailed feedback and he likes it. I don't know. Like sometimes I wonder, shucks, gusto mo talaga yan? But he likes it. So wag kayong mag-wonder na some people like the things that you hate because some of your learned behaviors or weaknesses are actually other people's strengths. So, Joyce, how were you able to pair pride with one of your unrealized strengths?
Oh, kasi parang Nikki, when I pair pride and legacy together, I get to like think of the next generation and think of the impact that I would do. And that makes me na parang, oh, I can take pride in what I do na kasi parang it's leaving a good impact naman and a positive impact to the next generation. So that's how I cope and that's how I try to learn more about my behavior and strengths.
Yeah, I noticed that Joyce, parang you promote your work a lot more when it's connected to that legacy you want to leave. Like you're not going to promote it for the sake of promoting yourself. You're going to promote it if it leads others to also support your legacy and your advocacies. So that's something that everyone here can do as well. Pag may napapansin kang, uy, learned behavior ko to, maybe you can pair it with your unrealized strength or your realized strengths, or you can pair it with other people. So sabi ni Kevin, hashtag liquidation. Feel ko, Kevin, I'm not sure if, the detail. I don't know your strengths profile yet, but maybe like it's begging for a lot of details. A lot of details. Maybe like pairing with another person or using a software that allows you to eliminate the overuse of that learned behavior is something that could help you out. So here's a sample check-in. Now, why don't you share your learned behaviors with your team and try to swap tasks with each other? I think the other night, someone from my team said, Nikki, actually, yung task ko, sinaswap ko sa ibang tao. And he said it in a very like sneaky way. And I said, I'm happy for you. If there are tasks that you don't like and you want to swap it with others, for as long as both of you are willing and you will be accountable to the tasks that need to be done, go ahead and swap with others, with other people. So swap or ask for help. This is something you can check in on. What are your learned behaviors and what would you want others to help you on? And then we have the weaknesses. So these are the tasks that we perform poorly. It's de-energizing and variable use, meaning we don't use it all the time. So here are some of your weaknesses, Joyce. Can you share one weakness and how you feel when you have to use that weakness?
I think self-belief, Nikki, kasi I don't believe in myself that much. I doubt myself. Like, parang kung merong time, kung may spare time ako, gagawin ko lang talaga, magda-doubt na lang talaga ako sa sarili ko kasi feeling ko hindi ako magaling, ganyan, and everything. So, ayun, feeling ko yun yung very self-belief na weakness ko.
Yeah, sometimes I actually wonder na parang, oh my God, Joyce is so great. Like, but she really will not hype herself up to other people. Or sometimes she'll do so well, but she'll never go, dang, damn, great. Like, she will really be, like, parang she will kind of question. I noticed, Joyce, so parang you'll kind of question that, did I do well? Is it okay? Like every time she does something and I'm just like, oh gosh, this is so amazing. Joyce is always asking, is it okay? So sometimes that is something that is a weakness for her, that self-belief. But luckily, first you gotta ask yourself, is there a risk? Kasi kung wala namang risk, then you just ignore it. But I think in this instance, Joyce, do you think there's a risk if you don't keep that in check?
Yes, I think there is.
What's
There
the
are.
What's the risk?
Well, for one, I feel like it will really hinder my growth, and then it will hinder my work abilities kasi parang da-downgrade na agad yung productivity ko and all because magiging stuck na ako dun sa ganung mindset.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think self-belief for a lot of people, kaya nga we're in this webinar, there's gonna be a risk there. Like we talked about earlier, how you might limit the opportunities that you get because you don't believe in yourself. So maybe pair it with a realized strength. So this is Joyce's weaknesses and these are her realized strengths. How do you think you can pair self-belief na lang? Let's go to self-belief. How do you think you can pair self-belief with another quality over there?
I think I can pair it with empathic.
Ooh, okay. Can you share us more about how you would pair the two?
Like, since I don't believe in myself that much, parang I can also like give myself more empathy. Na parang if I can give it to other people, why can't I give it to myself? So yeah, I think that's it.
I love that, Joyce. True. Like you can stop parang moments na parang you doubt yourself instead of going, oh, Joyce, it's so great. I'm so great. Because it's hard nga for you not to have that self-belief. Then just, have that empathy for yourself, listen to yourself, understand yourself. And another thing that you can do as well is pair it with the strengths of other people. So here in this instance, Joyce and I were comparing our results. And I said, Joyce, don't worry if that's in your weakness because I got you. One of my realized strengths is esteem builder, meaning my words and actions help people to build their self-confidence and self-esteem. It's so easy for me to spot the best aspects of other people. I know someone else on Mentimeter said that, na parang ang dali sa'yo to spot the strengths of others or what others are good at. Please keep using that quality because sometimes people need it. For me, it's so easy to see potential and possibility in everyone. I really feel that Joyce can conquer the world. She can do whatever she wants. She can get any master's degree that she wants from any university that she wants. So I love helping Joyce believe in herself. I love doing that for other people. And it never drains me. Like every time anyone asks for my help so that they can believe in themselves more, I'm happy to give them that time. And after I do that, I'm like, oh, I feel so good. Like I feel so good about myself, but I also feel so good about other people, about how they feel about themselves after having that conversation with me. So don't worry about your weaknesses. Don't tell yourself that, okay, I'm not enough. You know what? Pair it with your other strengths, pair it with the strengths of others as well. So same goes. Like for instance, when projects keep changing, I'm like, oh my God, like this is taking up so much time. It's because medyo weakness ko yung being adaptable. I like to just, stick with my plan. When things change, when maraming ibang requests outside of what was already planned, sometimes that stresses me out. So sometimes, I with a weakness, even as a supervisor, it's okay to have a weakness, and I will go to Joyce. I remember there was this time that we were working on a project and things kept changing. But Joyce was just so happy to accommodate the change because she was like, oh, let's change it because it will help our clients better. So I said, oh, that's so nice. Like that strength of service na parang she loves helping other people. She loves any little thing that can make others' lives better, satisfying people's needs. She loves to do that. So because Joyce is like that, parang nahawa din ako sa service orientation ni Joyce. So don't think for a moment na as a supervisor, as a leader, you have to have no weaknesses. You can't show weaknesses. That's not true. In fact, when you know what your weaknesses are and when you know what the strengths of the people around you are, you don't have to beat yourself up for this kasi even as a leader, you can ask for help from other people. So that's a check-in you can have. You can show each other's weaknesses. You can reflect on it. You can show each other's strengths profiles to each other and ask yourselves, oh, what of this can you use less? How? Will you pair it with another person? Will you pair it with your strength? Will you, you know, so assign that task to somebody else? Find ways to use that weakness less. So, oops. So that was our learning. Oh my gosh, this is the end of our slides. That's actually the end of our workshop today. So I hope you learned a lot. You learned na telling yourself you're not enough actually has a lot of downsides to it. Also, you can counter it by having a strengths mindset. And we've shown you different ways that you can pair with your team, pair with your realized strengths, and hopefully you all got interested in this strengths profile. We'll drop again the link in the chat box. If you want to take your test, I highly encourage it. And if you want to go next level, don't do it by yourself. Take it with your family, take it with your friends, take it with your colleagues, and have a conversation about it. So thanks so much, everyone, for listening to this webinar. We'll do a Q&A. So if any of you have questions, we're happy to hear you out.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. I know na a lot of our listeners or our learners, even kami ni Joyce, we have encountered strengths, diba, in a lot of our webinars, pero we always learn something new about it. So thank you for sharing us what you know about the strengths profile and how it can be in a coaching session. It really just felt that we were in a coaching session and you were also teaching other people on how to pair their strengths and, just recognize them in what they do. So now we are giving the floor to you, our dear learners. You can ask questions to Nikki through what we call the pigeonhole. So you just go to pigeonhole.at, or you can just quickly click the link that Joyce sent on the chat box and then just enter the passcode strengths and we'll be able to access all of the questions that you have this afternoon.
Yes, the link is in the chat. Actually, my question na dito. So
Yes.
somebody asked, si Patricia Joy San Diego from the chat box said, Miss Nikki, just a question po. Do you accept interns? Oh my gosh, you are in luck because this is actually our intern recruitment season. Thank you for flashing this, Gabby. Do you want to share more about our Culture Changers program?
Yes, so we want to invite each and every one of you, especially if there are students there or if there are professors looking for an internship program for their students. So we are opening our Culture Changers internship program, batch 11. And as you can see on the ad, we have different units that your interns can join. And Nikki, alam mo, quickly lang ha, para meron silang time mag-isip ng mga Q&A nila. Actually, a small proud moment also. Joyce is actually a product of our internship batch. And as you can see, she's now part of the core team of Positive Workplaces. That's why I think maganda makarinig ng testimonial from Joyce para you guys would know what to expect in our internship. Go ahead, Joyce.
Thank you, Gabby. So, ayun, I'm part of the Batch 8 Culture Changers program ng Positive Workplaces under Training and Development. So, if you're interested to know more about it, you can also click the link na we pasted sa chat box. And for context lang, yung environment sa Positive Workplaces is so parang mag-grow ka talaga. As in, yung safe space nandoon, yung everything nandoon. Kung makikita nyo yung 2021 Joyce, it's so different from 2023 Joyce ngayon. As in, hindi nyo ako mapagsasalita dito sa harapan nyo kasi ang dami-daming tao. Pero, ayun, sobrang laking development na nagkaroon sa akin dahil sa Positive Workplaces. And sobrang grabe talaga yung impact na ginagawa ng Positive Workplaces. And I know kasi I've seen also my batchmates who are parang part of the Culture Changers program na they're also in big companies na right now and they're so flourishing with all their careers. So ayun, if you're interested, you can always join us. Yeah,
Yes,
back to you, Bobby.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Joyce. So, na-mention nga ni Joyce, we have training and development. Pero if you also have skills in halimbawa research or even designing pubs, we have research and development, marketing and design. If you want to know how to manage people in the workforce, we also have talent management. And kung magaling kayong magbenta, I'm pretty sure na you will be good in business development and you will learn a lot from your mentor, John and Alma. So yay! Ayan, I think we gave them a lot of time to think about their questions and now we can start with
Yeah, I think that's a low-hanging fruit. Itong can strengths profile be given to high school students? Yes, it actually can be. I think the age strengths profile is one of those tests na it's okay to take it again and again. And actually, they encourage you to take it kasi what you find energizing will change over time. So they even encourage that every 6 months, just take it again. So it can be given to high school students. The results get more accurate as you find who you are. So try it out with high school students, but I think it was initially intended for adults who have gotten to learn themselves. But I think just for as long as you give them that context, na don't box yourself into these things na sometimes they might think na this is my weakness forever, but the thing is, as someone still growing up and discovering, it will change. So for as long as you give them that context, that's okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. I think this is very interesting because kahit nung bata tayo, they always tell us na no, work on your weakness, 'di ba? So I think this person wants to know what's the process na if we also want to work on our weakness, how can we leverage strengths to be able to work on that?
This is a tricky question kasi part of me wants to tell you, don't focus so much on your weaknesses and turning it into strengths. A strengths mindset actually is capitalize on your strengths. Don't focus so much on your weaknesses. That was how I developed myself when I was younger. Laging focus on my weakness. How do I fix this? How do I adjust this so that other people wouldn't get bothered by it? But when I shift to a strengths mindset, sobrang nag-transform yung I transformed, my confidence grew, and also my rate of growing accelerated when I focused on my strengths instead. I think the next part that I wanted to tell you was, I think sometimes you have strengths, but if you overuse it, it looks like a weakness. Like I told you earlier, parang I am a very unconditionality is my strength. I'm very forgiving, but if I overuse it, people will step all over me, and parang I'll keep giving people chances and keep giving people chances, and it doesn't work out anymore. So maybe some of your weaknesses are actually an overuse of a strength, and you just have to manage it accordingly. Like Joyce, she can like listen forever, but she might think, oh my God, I didn't wake up because I was listening all night. Or, oh my God, di ko nagawa yung trabaho ko because I was listening to this person. So maybe you have a strength, but it looks like a weakness because you are overusing it. Or so consider that as well.
Yes. Thank you, Nikki. I think lahat tayo may ganong experience na we overuse our strength and it turns out as a weakness. I think you have explained this rin kanina, but maybe we can go back to, as a supervisor, is it okay to open up to your junior that you are facing a problem?
Yes, actually, like I will come from my own personal experience on this. I used to shield the world from all of my problems because I used to think na parang kailangan hawak ko yung sarili ko. I don't show my weakness to other people. I've shifted from that to showing more vulnerability with other people, because as a supervisor, I actually also need the empathy of my juniors or my subordinates. So there are moments na parang I have concerns here at home and it's keeping me distracted from working. So there are moments when I tell my team na, okay, I'm not at my 100% today. I'm a little distracted with things going on. The help that I'll need from you is if I owe you something, if I have like a task that I was supposed to give you or a feedback that I should have given, just please remind me. So it's okay to ask for that extra support. It's okay to give a context about where you are. And again, balance is key. Kasi wag naman yung parang yung problem natin in life, like binigay na natin sa juniors natin, or parang we take up all of their time because like we are sharing our problem with them. Wag naman din yung gayon. So parang have a balance to it. I think have a balance with being vulnerable and asking for support, but also balance that with not overburdening other people with your problems.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. I think we have time for just one more question.
I actually have exciting news after this
Yeah.
last question. So I will share my screen again after this. Ano
Okay.
pwedeng gawin sa mga tao na nagda-down sa mga staff? Yung nagda-down ng self-esteem ng staff. Wow, this is a very interesting question. You saw our positivity ripples earlier, and we always say it starts with the self. I have a sense that itong tao na nagda-down sa mga staff at nagda-down ng esteem ng others also has a weak, low self-esteem. Kaya they feel na parang they need to pull other people down para may konting angat sila. So I'd actually recommend na why don't you try to see the best in this person instead of telling this person, hoy, lagi ka nang nag-down sa ibang tao. Kasi lalo na kung boss siya or supervisor siya, it's kind of hard to do that in our culture. But if you model to this person the kind of culture that you want to build, and they benefit from you seeing the best in them, everyone will benefit from anyone seeing the best in them. Anyone would benefit from another person believing in them. So if you have that courage to spot the strengths, I told you earlier, everyone has got a strength. So find the courage to tell this person about their strengths. Maybe if they benefit, they will shift their behavior as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. I think that
Yay!
caps our question and answer. And please do follow us on social media because this year we are going to try to answer these questions in our pages. So for now, I'm gonna
I
give
have
the floor back to you,
Thanks
Nikki.
so much, Gabby, because I have exciting news for everyone in our last 5 minutes. Something that I really want, I want to duplicate, I want to multiply or clone the people in positive workplaces because they just know what questions to ask and what support to give to each other and what suggestions so that we can improve each other's well-being. We are going to scale up that capability in us by creating an app that every one of you could have and download for free. So it will ask you questions based on our Filipino well-being workplace well-being scale. Is going to ask you specific questions. It's going to be very easy to answer. Like, I know that I'm good at what I do. Okay, I find the work that I do repetitive. It's just going to ask you 4 questions. Hindi siya mahabang survey. Every time you log on, it's just going to ask you a few questions. It's going to tell you something about what you. It's going to tell you parang an assessment of your well-being and will also give you tips about your well-being. It will also give you resources. So my question for you is, would you download this app? We're at this point na parang, are we gonna make this? Is this worth making for the community that we have here? It's a lot of resources and a lot of time needed. So we want to ask you, is this something that you would be interested in? Would you download this app? If we get enough responses, this will help us know which direction to take moving forward. So the link is in the chat box. We'd really love to know, would you want to have like a well-being buddy in your pocket, in your phone? Would you download this app? And yes, be very honest. Please just tell us kasi, there's many things that we can do for you, and we're also balancing out where do we put our energy and our attention. So Romina said yes, she would try it. Why not Choconut? Savini Richard, thanks for sharing that. And I think like 34 people here have said, and 35 people have said yes, 2 people have said no. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, the next thing is, like, if you were to give it a title, we're trying to gauge kasi, are we going to be more formal in this app or are we going to be very chica style in this app? So the next question I want to ask you is, would you rather that the app be called something like Be Well or Well-Be, your well-being bestie? Well-Be, your well-being beshi? Like, which is the kind of tone that you wanted to have? Be well or gusto mo ba parang well-be, your well-being bestie? We're even trying to gauge, would you rather a bestie, a beshi? Or let us know then if you have ideas on that in the chat box, because we're creating this for you and we want to know what suits you the most. Ayan, thanks for voting on this one. We really appreciate your thoughts. Sabi ni Jessie, be well, your well-being bestie, well-being bestie, well-beshi, well-be. Thanks for this. Last question. What tone do you prefer? Do you want it to be like formal, English, or casual, medyo Taglish, or very casual, as in Taglish, as in yung deserve mo yan, best kind of tone? Which tone do you prefer that we take on? Parang if you get tips, gusto mo ba na English? Gusto mo ba na medyo Taglish siya? Or gusto mo ba na super kalog yung app? Uses the latest lingo, or it feels like your friend, your best friend is talking to you? Ayan, this is super helpful. Taglish na kalog. Very witty. Mary said, I think the casual would still be better to feel more comfortable. Ayan. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information kasi we want to be able to serve you better, more constantly. So watch out for further news on this when we finally finish building it and release it to everyone. So thanks so much, everyone. Gabby, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. So that ends our session on embracing strengths when I feel that I am not enough. So I hope that each and every one of you leaves this session and bago kayo matulog or at least kahit sa chat box ngayon, pwede niyong sabihin, I am enough. Can you indulge me? Yeah, you can put I am enough. Ayan, thank you, Jason, Brian, Ian, Jessie, Diana, Kathy. I think a lot of them. Ayan ha, dapat hanggang mag-end yung January or 2023, I am enough pa rin yung sasabihin natin. Thank you so much, everyone. So I hope you join us next week, January 20, 2023, from 3 o'clock p.m. to 4:30 p.m. We are going to talk about psych yourself up, managing your energy, and boosting motivation. So we will be with one of our consultants, Rog Enriquez, who is a career coach, OD and talent management expert. Okay. And again, just follow us on Facebook because we are going to post all of the activities we have in line for you over there. So Joyce is going to share with us our Facebook link. So dapat, kung hindi pa kayo nagla-like ngayon, right at this moment, once Joyce shares with us that link, just click it and then hanapin nyo yung like button. So on our Facebook page, you will see different thought leadership posts. So merong how to move on if you just left a job. Or halimbawa, di ba nung Christmas, may mga 5 ways to handle inappropriate remarks during family gatherings. And we are going to give you more workplace tips, workplace well-being tips on our different social media pages. And of course, right now we are going to give you the link to the post-evaluation form. We'd love to hear from you. Diba? We actually read your inputs para malaman namin what topics do you want to hear from us next para mas ma-curate pa namin yung information that we put out. Sabi nga ni Nikki kanina, diba, we really focus our energy to serving our learners better. So you can just quickly click the link that Joyce posted on the chat, or you can grab your phone, open the camera, and then scan the QR code you can see on your screen. So the form will close in 30 minutes. Be sure that by 5 o'clock p.m., you have answered the evaluation form. Okay, so we'll just leave the meeting room open for a while. Nikki, if you want, I can ask them or allow them to unmute if they want to chika. Oh, Cyril is asking, is this a webinar or a workshop? This is a webinar, so you can just choose that option for that item. Ayan, so happy no, Nikki and Joyce, na ang dami nating first-timers, especially for January.
Super, and I love that this was the topic that you chose to start off with. It will really serve as a foundation to creating positive cultures.
Ayan. And now you can unmute if you want to chika with Nikki and Joyce and I. We'd be happy to indulge. There are questions related to the webinar. Personal questions ka lang itanong.
Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you, Jason. Jason is also another one of our avid attendees then of our webinars and events. So we hope to see you for the rest of January and the year. We're receiving a lot of thanks and gratitude on the chat box, Nikki. So next week, magsama kayo ng friends, magsama kayo ng office mates. Because learning is fun, di ba? When we are all learning together.
Yes, for sure. I'm so happy na I get to continue my strengths learning, actually. Because I have the team to, one, parang guinea pigs. I get to test out like the different tests on them, to have different conversations with them. And apparently I also learned so much from everyone here in this team because we're all so interested in strengths. So kung meron kayong mahahatak to take the test along with you, please do that. It will really make a difference.
Actually, Mickey, follow-up question. Kanina may isa ring nagtanong, can they use the strengths assessment in their thesis?
Yeah, why? Ooh, okay. So that's a bit tricky because the assessments are being sold, right? So you wouldn't get the items. You wouldn't be able to get the items if you wanted to. It depends on how you use it.
Yan, so I hope na you can ask your thesis advisor on how you can utilize. Pero diba, it's also nice to have localized researches on these different strengths profiles.
Actually, my hope is to have a Filipino strengths framework